That would be a good subject too, Ronnie. We've been in the 80s
We've been
forever.
in the 80s forever. Episode is Jason.
188.
One.
Nice. Living in the 80s.
So we
Brought
have
to
two.
everybody by Grit Automation, who is our platinum level sponsor for Splinter Con
And we have
Con.
all 2.5 of us
Con.
here today.
Yeah.
2.5. Yeah. I don't even know if you could classify. Nicole probably wouldn't even classify me as half of a man after dealing with me
Yeah.
this weekend.
2.25, maybe?
Marianne said Nicole said that it feels like you had swallowed razor blades.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So a bunch of people sent messages and were asking if I was okay. And I haven't responded to any of them at this point just because I've literally been in my bed for 3 days.
Mm.
Wow.
Like I didn't do anything else other than laying
Nicole
in
sent
bed.
us pictures of you in bed sleeping.
Yeah. That's weird.
No, no, no. You were like, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
wow, Jason's crashed.
Well,
That's,
to be fair, let's see.
I've never heard you sick. I've never heard you sick.
Friday, I crashed on the couch most of the day, but then I ended up in my bed that evening. But all day Saturday and all day Sunday, I was in the room.
Oh,
But um, I knew I was getting sick on like Wednesday because, and I thought it was just maybe I was like overdoing it a little bit with um, getting into this new training plan again and kind of like getting back on track. And I just thought, well, maybe that's what it is, but it's not what it was. My body was starting to get sore. I could start to feel a little, you know, twinge in my throat. And I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot during this episode. But um, come Friday, man, I was just like, ah, man, my throat is really killing me. And I had this horrible headache. And I woke up Saturday morning and it was way worse. And I didn't sleep very well. And so I went to emergency care and they tested me for COVID, flu, mono, all kinds
wow.
of stuff. And everything came back negative, strep.
Really? I
And
was
they
just going to
sent
say
it in.
strep. Sounds like strep.
I would have thought it was strep.
Yeah.
They sent it in, and the next day I get a call, and they're like, "Well, we sent it into a further evaluation. It's not strep." And then Nicole ended up finding this new variant of COVID that's
Mhm.
been going around that they discovered last month, and that it's so new that a lot of the older tests may not pick up and detect, but like literally all of the side effects are exactly what I was feeling. And I'm telling you, that's some of the worst pain I've ever had. Like swallowing, I didn't sleep Saturday night like at all.
Wow.
I was going through like these hot flashes where I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up like soaked. And then I had this one long spell where I was like freezing cold. Um, so yeah, it was not great. But this morning, uh, I woke up and my throat hurt the least. And all day today, it's actually felt pretty good. But now I'm starting to lose my voice, as you can tell. Um, but this afternoon, it's starting to kind of get sore again. So I've been eating cough drops like you
Mm.
wouldn't believe. And there's only one brand that I've been eating that actually like seem to do the trick. They're these Fisherman's Friend, and they're
Yep.
ridiculously strong.
Yep.
But man,
Fishman's friend, baby.
yeah, they work great. I mean, my throat was so bad that that like chloroseptic spray that numbs your throat that you can spray, it did nothing.
Mm.
Wow.
It did nothing. Just taking pills and having to drink like a drink of water. So, yeah, needless to say, like today was the first day I felt like being up and about doing things. Um, but I ended up like I was supposed to go to a festival tomorrow to shoot, and I had to contact Chris, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm not going to be able to do it. Like my voice is going, and not to mention, if in fact it is this new strain, I don't want to be around other people and then have it affect it, which
Yep.
is a real bummer because on Wednesday I was supposed to go to Hearts of Hardwoods because they're celebrating their 150-year anniversary, and they had a golf outing on Thursday, and I was going to that. Oh, and I had to write Tom, who I know over there, and let him know like, hey man, I'm not going to be able to make it. I apologize. So that's kind of a bummer, but I just don't feel right. Like even if I feel better, I don't feel right being because that's going to be a very busy event, and I would not wish that on anybody.
Yep.
The
I
Wow.
mean,
last,
I've had sore throats before,
yeah.
but this was like bad. And not to mention the headache wouldn't go away. Like every 3 hours, I was on Tylenol, ibuprofen, Tylenol, ibuprofen, Tylenol, ibuprofen. Um, yeah, it hasn't been fun. So,
What you
um,
described, I had exactly the same thing, and I thought I had a sinus infection or strep throat or mono. That's what I thought I had, and it was a flu. But it came back tested positive for the flu. And I even questioned him. I was like, it doesn't sound like the flu. I said, I thought flu was like more like nauseous kind of symptoms and stuff. He said, no, you're describing the flu symptoms of the last one that was going around.
yeah.
So
Well, it's crazy. Like I thought maybe it would have been that because I don't remember if I got a flu shot this year. No, out of the army, like I'd usually they would always tell us like, "Hey, this is the week. Go get your flu shot and bring us your thing that's saying you got it." Um, and so I haven't done that. But yeah, I'm hoping that tomorrow, I'm a little bit better. Wednesday a little bit better. Um, but what ended up happening is so Friday, like I was really starting to not feel great, but Saturday I still woke up, or no, Friday morning I woke up and I was like, I'm not going to go to the gym because like my body is really sore, but I am going to go do my walk. So I walked for an hour. I came upstairs and it was like I got hit with a ton of bricks.
Hmm.
And I was just out. I was like, I looked at Nicole. I was like, it's going to be a lazy day, and I never expected it, Saturday and Sunday to turn into. I felt so bad. Like she was waiting on me hand and foot, and you know, I get women will never understand what it is like to be a grown man with a cold. You know what I mean? They just won't understand. There's nothing worse.
I'm laughing because we we're all such babies.
Yes.
Kelly can have
What's this, what's
mono,
such what's
strep
this?
throat, flu, and be pregnant. She's like, I'm gonna dust a little and I'm gonna vacuum around
Yeah.
the house, and then I might just lay down for 5 minutes. We're like,
Yeah.
feed me
This
ice cream.
there's so much crap going around right now. There's
Yeah.
so much going on. Marianne's been sick for 2.5 weeks. She's just starting to feel good. I had a sinus infection that turned into something horrid.
Mm.
Jason, when I
Yeah. I
left your
remember when you
house,
were here.
it went viral, but I still had to do what I had to do. There was one time I was lucky and I slept 11 hours. I always remember someone saying, if you're not feeling, just go to bed. Let
Mm.
your immune system work for you.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
the name of the game. Sleep's the best thing. You laying down and not doing anything is the best thing. Even though you're not sleeping, you're not active and your immune system kicks in. Okay, that's all I have to say. I don't want to make this a sick episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
good.
I'm just, when I heard a couple of things, Marianne communicating with Nicole texting this week, and I was like, oh man, he is in bad shape. I've never, ever seen you sick.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like being like usually if I get sick, like I'm still okay. Like I'll still function and do things. I did not want to do anything, and
Yep.
that drives me
Yep.
nuts. I can't sit around.
Yep. I
Idle
know.
time is not my friend. Like
Yep.
Mhm.
that's why all these like one-off house projects that we try to get done in a weekend happen because I'm like, if we have no plans this weekend, like we need to have a plan, and that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. Whether it's okay, today I'm finally going to go and put in these last three pieces of baseboard that I haven't done for the
Yeah.
last 9
Yeah.
months. Like I
But
just can't. I can't
yeah.
do it.
But that's good. You get stuff done that way.
Yeah.
I hate, like this morning, I had a couple minutes. I washed the windows of my Jeep. I just didn't want to sit around
Yeah.
waiting to go to work. I had a couple minutes.
Well, I was
Okay.
itching. I was itching to get. I spent the whole day today messing with the bench pilot.
Nice.
Thing is so badass. I
Ain't
love
that
that.
badass?
Yeah, it's so cool. Anyway, Sedge, you had something that you and Ronnie both have something that we can
Okay. So I need a little help.
spitball.
I need a little help, spitball, because we've been talking about tools and getting rid of stuff. Should I keep this? Should I buy this tool? Well, I'm getting ready to do a video, and I have a list, but I'm still honing it for. It'll probably be the next video we drop. Okay. So there's tools that I have that I've had forever, and I will not get rid of them because I know I need them when I need them. And I may not use them for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. But boy, I know I have it and I know I could tackle that job because I have it.
Mhm.
And I just, there's a lot of tools like Ronnie, I'm looking behind you and looking at stuff or Jason, I know your shop and I know you don't use them every day, but I
Mhm.
know you won't get rid of them. So I'm going to throw my first one out there. So you guys, and Ronnie, I know you use this probably a lot. I just don't, but I need one. And that's a reciprocating saw.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And I waited. Jason, you remember you borrowed my corded one? That
Mhm.
was my pops. I was waiting. I couldn't get rid of it, but I was waiting when I could get a cordless. And now I have a cordless that I utilize. And because once you use a cordless recip, you won't go back to a corded. Correct, Ronnie?
Correct. Yeah, because you're
Yep.
never in a
So,
place where a cord is convenient.
yep. And that's one that I'll use every other year, every 5 years. But boy, I won't get rid of it.
I've got
So
one.
okay, go ahead, Jason.
Jason's yours was last week.
Oh, now
Now you have
no,
another one.
The
no,
the
yeah, well,
framing
yeah.
the framing nailer is a good example of one.
And it could
Okay.
be a jig. It
Yeah.
could be a jig.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to be my first option, but that is definitely one on my list. But my first one was going to be, I will say that I do use this more often than what you're saying for a reciprocating saw, but it's a oscillating multi-tool.
Oh,
Mhm.
good one.
There is no way I would ever get rid of that tool because every time you need it, it is absolutely the best tool for the
That's a
job.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't use it all the time. I use it more than a reciprocating saw, certainly, but
Oh, that's a really good one.
I couldn't be
I
without that
didn't
thing.
think of that.
Mhm.
Huh.
What do you got,
Uh,
Ronnie?
yeah, Ronnie.
Oh gosh, I have so many. I'm trying to. uh, A lot of mine Festool comes to mind because there are things that, like, I know we talk about the Conturo a lot, but that's a really good example for me in that I can go a long time without using it, but because I have it, it changes the way I build things. Like I'll make my own strip of veneer and put it through the machine instead of trying to figure out another way to do something. So that's one that is a significant investment, but I think it's worth having because we talked about last week renting, and it's not like you can really rent a Conturo. You either own one or you don't. And I find that one to be handy
Hmm.
regularly. And then also when you talked about reciprocating saw, it reminded me of I have a whole category in my van of things like that. And there are things that are rarely used, but when you need them and you have them, you're like, I'm so glad I have that on the van. And reciprocating saw is one of them. The other one is the restoration grinder with all the different heads. That is not something I would ever have on my pack list, but it comes in handy if I have to grind some concrete down or if I have to quickly take something down, even wood wise. That's a one that is regularly used that I would never specifically have on my pack list.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Those are two for me, which those are both, I think, considered higher end tools, but they're definitely ones I can't imagine
Wait,
not having.
what? You guys get me rethinking this. Jason, do you have another one right in mind? Because I'm losing it now because I'm starting to think, oh,
Um, another one would be what Ronnie mentioned, the framing nailer.
yeah, I got one of those. I never use it.
And it's like it's probably one of those things I don't see myself using it again unless I'm doing framing. Um, but obviously with as much as we're doing stuff around the house, like sure. And I mean you don't just have to use it for framing per se, right? Like I'm going to put up all those strips to hold the drywall in the ceiling and I'll just use shorter nails. So like that would be an example where I could actually probably use it for other things that I need to do. So um, definitely is not going to be a tool that I would use a lot, but it's the perfect tool for the job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That would be
I
another.
got one of the things I was going to mention was my drum sander that I haven't used in 15 years. I can't get rid of it. I don't know why. I want to. I've been thinking about selling it. It's an old Performax 1632, but that's like a what if I wanted to do some bending, some laminated bends, you know, again, because that's why I had it.
I
Are you
had a
Yeah.
following me? But I know you got
yeah.
rid of your drum sander.
Yes, but when you brought this topic up, one of the first things I actually thought about was a drum sander, and I've considered getting another one since. Um, because while I was not that impressed with it, and it kind of just sat for me, just that particular machine was frustrating to use.
Oh, okay.
But now, like with other things that I would like to do, one of them specifically being bent lamination and some other projects that I want to, start just dabbling a little bit deeper in woodworking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I immediately think, and I'm like, boy, do I wish I had a drum sander. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
Yep.
shops on veneers to veneer
Yep.
plywood to make furniture or whatever. Like, there's certain things that a drum sander just excels at. And I
Hmm.
think there's
It's
a lot of
funny you just said
misconceptions.
that.
Like people look at drum sanders, a lot of people that don't know, and they think that like, oh, I'm going to use this as like a planer. It's like, well, no, it's not what it's designed for, right?
Yeah,
But when you're talking
exactly.
about trying to cut thin strips of veneer or do bent
Yep.
lamination and make sure everything's exactly the same thickness and smooth, I, there aren't many other tools that you can
Nope.
do
Or
that
ingrain
are,
sanding.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
that
Hmm.
are going to give you the same results as effectively as a drum sander will.
And I haven't done that in a long time. But, as I look forward, and yes, retirement, it's not going to be retirement. It's going to be in my shop 6 days a week. And I'll be doing a lot of building that would still come in handy. But how far out is that retirement? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And do I upgrade it because it's a very old machine that I bought in a really good estate sale? And I just don't know. Here's one for you. I turn on this maybe once 2 years. I haven't turned it on since I've gotten my shape or origin. Okay, but I use it for template work, and that's an oscillating spindle sander. Do you guys have those?
I actually bought
I
one
did. I
just
got
because of
rid
the
of it.
boat.
You what, Ronnie?
I bought one just because of the boat. I bought one of those
Yeah,
Triton brands. I
yeah. I
keep
got
it
a
under my
rigid.
bench just because it made it easier to finesse the templates after we cut them out on the bandsaw because we were trying to
Mm-hmm.
do it the manual way and not
Yep,
using a CNC.
yep,
So that's what it's an oscillating spindle sander that has different size heads.
yep. That's what I have. I have a bench top one, and it sits there.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking because I know Jason, you got rid of yours,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just there when I need it. What did I use it for? I just used it for something real kind of. Oh, I know. I cut out a block of wood and I was carving with it, and I wanted to round edges on a tall piece, about 50 millimeters tall. And I just took it over to I said, how am I going to do that? And all of a sudden I went, oh, daggone it, it's right there. Flipped it on, done.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I went, okay, I'll let it sit for another couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have. I know one. Uh, the larger paint sprayer that I have a Nova Titan 440. I believe it's an IX. They're around like 850, 900 range now. I've had mine for a while. That also falls into the category we talked about last week about renting tools. If I
Yeah.
had to do over again, I would not own that because I have it and I use it maybe once a year. It's made to throw out a lot of paint really fast. Like if I'm painting outside of my shop building or if I'm spraying the whole inside of a rental house and I tape everything off, you can spray it a gallon in like minutes. It takes a quart to fill the hoses. It's made
Mm-hmm.
to spray a lot of paint and they're
Wow.
great. I did not think about service. So I had one service. The reason why I told you the amount that it cost, there was like a packing kit of something that had to be rebuilt, had to take it to the paint store, like a place like Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore has service centers. It was almost $500 to get it fixed.
Whoa.
And in the meantime, since I was down, I had to go rent one from a paint store that was the same model. And what's nice about that is you take it back to them when you're done and they make sure everything's okay before you get it back. So just because it's kind of a bigger machine and stuff, I see that as the ideal thing to rent and not buy unless you're
Gotcha.
using it daily. But I love it when I need that. I can knock out a lot of painting really fast, especially painting like brick, like a brick house or something like that. It just or block or corrugated metal. It just you can put the right tip on that thing and you can just go to town like quickly.
Mm.
So
It's funny.
that's one I don't use a lot, but
It's funny you mentioned that instance specifically because Jeff Fitzsimmons. I actually asked if anybody had some topics to discuss tonight. A lot of them were kind of around that. Like, what if you had a conversation on like when it makes sense to rent a particular thing
Mm.
versus buy?
yeah,
But I
I
thought we
think
covered some of that last week.
think we hit on it, but it made me think about that it's something that takes up a lot of size that you don't use a lot, or
Yep.
something that is prone to having issues.
Yep.
Those two things, let the rental place take care of it and
Or
don't deal with let them store it for you. And every time you use it, it costs you 60, 70, $80, something like that. And
yep.
you're just done with it.
That's
Or
a great.
know somebody who has one
Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
willing to loan it.
And
that's a
that would be
that.
hard for me because that's a really hard one to use. You can mess it up
Yep.
really easily.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah,
no,
you
no,
can.
no.
You've got to know to dump the go back prime it. You've got to know every time I do it, I have to bring up this same YouTube video every time. I don't remember how do you prime it and how you turn the little dump valve. And when you clean it, you have to, it does like that and it purges the paint out of it. There's just a lot of steps. So it's not exactly homeowner friendly, but I'm sure if you used it every day, it'd be easy. And you have to use three different buckets to make it work right, really. You have like a clean water, a kind of clean water, and then your paint. And there's just a lot to it. But
I mean
they're
that's a
awesome.
good one because I have an X5 Graco, and
Similar, very similar.
the
Yeah.
last time I used it was when we sprayed the shop when I first moved in, and it's just been sitting in my basement ever since. And I cleaned it, when I put it away. But if I remember correctly, I don't think I put pump armor in it. And
Yeah.
so,
You
like,
also,
I'll probably use that system when I go to paint the gym room after it gets drywalled, just because I don't want to fill up my quick shot 55
mhm,
times. Um, so I'm interested to see if I'll have that same effect because that's a lot more paint, obviously.
yeah. I always find it interesting that there's a quart in the hose. That's a lot. Think
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I always just suck antifreeze into mine after I'm done because I'm not sure if it might end up in a freeze situation on part of my
Oh,
shop because that would mess it up also, and it's an expensive repair. So all those reasons, that's one that I love it when I have it, but I don't know if I would still buy it again.
Mm.
yeah.
I'll rent something just because it takes up shop space, or I'll borrow it. Like, okay, Jason, last time I poured a slab, right? My buddy Brian brought over his concrete mixer.
Hmm.
Okay, because I'm not going to mix that in a wheelbarrow,
Mm,
right?
it's
And now
awful.
I know Ronnie's got a concrete master. What
Yeah.
is it
What's it
called?
called?
Concrete.
What's it called? A mud mixer? I think it's called a mud
Oh my
mixer.
God. I
That thing
can't
is
get enough of those
awesome.
videos. That is
I'm
so awesome.
there's so many things I have looked my eye on now that I'm going to take on as a project that I would have not done if I did not have that for sure.
Yeah, but I'll rent one before I buy
Yes,
one.
and good point. I looked on the little map, and the bigger city you're in, the more likelihood you can find one to rent. We
Yep.
actually don't have them around Lake area, but I saw Cincinnati does, and there's some other like you can find them for rent, and that's ideal because if you didn't have the large shop space I have, I call my gravel side, it takes up a lot more room than a lawnmower. It's big. It's about
Mhm.
I'd say it's close to like a 2.5 foot um, footprint, and it's chest high. It's a decent sized piece of machinery and very heavy. I'd say 200 or 300 pounds at least, but
Yeah.
it's awesome. That's awesome. I like it. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's a good
One
one.
of the tools on my list was, and I don't know now, because I'll always have one, but a flooring nailer, a cleater.
You're right. Good one. Good one.
Yep, because you never know. And if somebody says, "Hey," I go, "Yeah, I got one. You can borrow it." Depends on who it is, but
Yeah.
yeah, I got one.
I've used mine maybe 4 or 5 times and it's been very worth having it. That's
Yep.
something that you can rent and have some frustrations with.
Oh yeah.
If
People
it's
don't.
not perfectly right, you can be
Yep.
like, why isn't this firing? Why
Yep.
isn't,
Oh no,
you know,
people do not. That's one thing I won't rent is a gun,
yep.
a nail
Good
gun.
point. Yep.
Yep.
For sure. It's better just to have one.
Yep.
That's
For
true.
sure.
I think I just had another one. Um, oh, this might be kind of silly, but every time I need it, I'm so glad that I have it. And said you turned me onto it. A cordless caulking gun.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Dude, I use one every year, and
Yeah,
you know what for?
Yeah.
yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Well, what's funny about that is I bought one because of that for the same reason and bought all of the
Yeah.
what's
Then
that
you
stuff
put
called?
seal and peel.
Seal and peel.
Hmm.
Still have all the tubes of seal and peel. I never used it for that.
I'll buy them from you. I'll
But
buy
no, I
them.
mean, I'll probably use them this winter, but I just don't think about it because I've never done it before. But on the basement renovation, when I put up all those foam insulation panels on the concrete,
Oh
I
yeah,
used, the Tight Bond tight grab in that thing. And it, like, if I had to squeeze that stuff manually, because that stuff is thick, I mean, it's like
yes,
peanut butter, I would have
yeah.
been dying. But this gun, I mean, I go through a tube real fast, and it made it
Yeah,
so nice. But like, I don't use that very often, but I'm
oh,
glad that
I
I had
do.
it,
I
you
do.
know?
I have at least six of them just because I have backups. Because when we're doing deck ceilings, we'll go through 24 tubes of geosil and asphalt sealant. We'll go through a whole case of it. So I couldn't even install without having that. So I have to have one, two, or three backups because sometimes they'll blow up on you. Sometimes you got a bad tube. And it's funny, I've been doing it so long, I can hear the noise and I know exactly what happened. I know if it went back into the gun. I know if it's getting ready to go. I know when I hear a pop, I've got 1 inch left in there. It's like you start learning like a bourbon aficionado with a caulk gun.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is you watch that stream. If you ever see it stop, you stop the gun because it could mean it's coming out the other side for whatever reason. You may have forgotten to poke down in the little nozzle, but when something like that happens, I don't want to be down and have to figure out what to do. So I have a backup where I can just throw that one to the side and deal with it later, and I have another backup.
Oh,
That's
wow. Huh. What brand
that's
do you have?
I have Ryobi just because it was the first one I ever
Yeah.
bought, and I've stuck with that, and they hold up just like the Brad nailers we talked about before. Um, the only reason why I've ever went and bought another one is when one explodes on me. They used to be $37 15 years ago. That's how much it was the first time I bought it. And I think now they're around 50 range. That's how much they went up.
Wow.
That's how much they went up. But sometimes one really explodes with all the asphalt stuff on it. I don't even bother. If it's like a year or two old, I'll just get another one because it's not
Yeah.
worth my time to clean it out. Because the battery is what's really worth, anything on it. Now the Milwaukee ones I think are closer to 300. They're like
Yeah, that's
250,
the one I
300.
have.
I
That's
got
the
a
one I
DeWalt.
have.
The Ryobi has never done anything to make me want anything different. That's the reason why I've never upgraded. And they're always, I can swing by Home Depot and pick one up usually if I need to. So that's kind of, I've stuck on that line, but
Interesting.
I'd like
I've
to
got
try the
another one.
Milwaukee one out. I have plans to contact them and see if they'll send me one
That's so interesting. Yeah.
I've
because
got an I,
it's the only battery I have to carry that's Ryobi in the van. That's what gets me sometimes. The batteries last so long in that I can get away with using the same battery for almost the whole entire summer season. And that's kind of a bad thing because you forget that it needs to be charged until it stops on you.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You, you can go an entire summer on
Yep,
one charge?
pretty much. Pretty
What?
much. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it. It must take so little. I'm using the larger size battery and I have a backup battery. I very rarely change the battery, like ever. Like I regularly find myself without that charger sometimes. And I'm like, oh gosh, I've been using this the whole summer. It's pretty amazing. But I would like to be on the same battery platform that I have like Milwaukee and Vestal batteries only. That's the only reason why I have that line of battery is for that caulk gun. So, so that'd be a reason to change. But it's a great one. I think it's in the 50 range now. It's kind of doubled in price, but still great.
I have another one.
Go ahead.
Um, it's so funny because what I'm about to say goes along with what I was just thinking on how almost everything we've mentioned so far, minus the Conturo, almost has like very little to do with woodworking. But I think that's because as woodworkers, we have the things that we have that are in our shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all the other things that we may not do as often that are very one off things.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense, I guess. But um, an LVP uh, plank cutter.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
one. That's a
Yep.
good one.
I've done flooring multiple times now, and it wasn't until we moved into this house that I got one of those cutters. It's the best freaking investment I ever made. I barely ever use it, but I'll tell you what,
Mm-hmm.
I'll never get rid of that.
Same. Yeah, I love
ever.
mine.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to say something that you recommended, both of you. And it's because I'm looking behind Jason at his hardware. And that jig I bought this year for hanging all my drawer pulls and
Mm-hmm.
knobs,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah, good
What's
one.
what's the brand of
True
that?
position.
True
true
Position tools.
position.
Mm-hmm.
I bought everything for it. And I am just, why did I wait to get it? I used to make all my own jigs for each kitchen, and why was I doing that? That thing is so slick.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't work without it now. Now, do I hang hardware all the time? Nope.
Yeah.
Eventually, probably you'll be doing a lot of built-ins, but I really like it. I really like that. That's something you guys recommended, and I was like, wow. And it's guess
Yeah.
what? It's always right there.
Yeah.
What a time saver.
My favorite thing is the ones that have two holes, because
Yep.
that's so time consuming,
That's
and you
my
get to
favorite
dial
thing
those
too.
in. You dial those in with the actual handle. I heard that. You dial it in with the actual
What?
handle, and it's like you don't even have to do the math. There's no
Nope.
math there,
No math.
and that means no mistakes, or less,
I like the way you said that, Les.
or less. They also sent me the plumbing one they make, the red one that fits onto the back, and you
Yeah.
can.
How is that?
I've not used it yet, but I will be using it within the next year. So I
I
look
have that
forward
too.
to that. Would be a good example of something that you definitely, unless you were a installed bathrooms all the time as like a cabinet installer, you're not going to use that all the time. But it's so nice to have it, and it's just basically a straight edge that has three Y-shaped sticks that come off from it, and you can use it to adjust where the trap hole needs to be in the back and the hot and cold water's like back. Because
Hmm.
I don't know if you look back of a lot of houses, they guess a few times before they get that right.
Oh
It
yeah.
usually looks like a shark got a hold of the back of it, but this
Yeah.
is a way to get it dead on. So I have not used that yet. I've had it for over a year, but that's a good one to have as well that fits into with your cabinet pull jig.
Yeah.
And Jason's, we talked about the stair tool not too long ago.
Yep.
Oh
The
yeah.
that
Yeah.
one, those all three of those would be the same category.
Yeah.
Uh, not shop made jigs, bought jigs that save time. That category.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I was just wondering what you guys had in your arsenal that I'm not thinking of. I think that oscillating tool was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't use that all the time, but boy, it's there when you need. I'll never get rid of it.
So
What
I
about?
bought one of the Festool AGC
Did you get?
grinders.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I got it like 3 years ago. Still to this day, I've never even turned it on.
But you
But
got it.
I had, well, at the time, we were planning on doing a bathroom thing a lot sooner. Um, but I bought it because I was like, man, when it comes time, and I'm going to need this, it's such a great tool to have. And I still to this day have just hadn't had a job, but I don't think I would get rid of it. I mean, it doesn't take up any space.
I'm going to be buying one soon.
Are you?
Discontinued.
What is that?
Oh,
Is that is it just the grinder? Is it the Raz?
no,
Nope, it's
AGC.
the AGC. I
I don't
have a
think
Raz.
I don't know which one the AGC is.
It's
It's
just
the
a angle
grinder,
grinder.
angle grinder,
Oh, it's
cordless
just an
18
angle
volt.
grinder. Okay, okay. Yeah, I
It's
have.
not just an angle grinder; it's a Festool.
Did I ever
Gotcha,
tell you the story
gotcha.
when I bought that? What happened? Sedge, I may have told you.
I vaguely go ahead.
Okay, so I called. Um, I can't remember. I felt like I needed it for something that I was doing, and then I ended up not doing it, which is why I bought it when I did. And I was like, I need it, and I need it now.
Oh,
And I
were
called
you grinding
Woodcraft.
the bathroom in Greenwood?
No, because I bought it. It was after I moved here, I think. Well, maybe I did buy it while I was still in Greenwood.
And you had to do something. You had to do something, but
Well,
the
I
plumber
used
came in and
yours.
did it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
well,
use.
yeah, I borrowed yours, but it wasn't the AGC, was it?
I had
Or
a
was it
Bosch
the AGC?
grinder.
I can't remember. But when I
Yeah.
bought it, I need. It was like I called Woodcraft because I'm like, I know they have one because they have it on display. So I called Woodcraft and I said, "Yeah, do you guys have any of the Festool AGC grinders in stock?" The guy laughed at me and he said, "Sir, I think what you mean is a Rotex." And I was like, "Nope, it's not what I'm asking. I'm asking for the grinder." He again said, "I believe you're talking about the Rotex. And yes, we have those." Said, "I am not talking about a Rotex. I need the AGC, which is the grinder." "Well, sir, we don't have anything like that." And I was like, "All right, thanks, bye." And I hung up the phone. 3 minutes later, I get a call. Guess who it is? Woodcraft. "Oh, were you just calling about the grinder from Festival?" I said, "Yep, sure was." "Yeah, I was. I guess there was some confusion. Yeah, we've got that."
He probably made fun of you to the other guys, and they were like,
Yeah,
yeah, they do make that."
yeah, it's over there, Carl.
Yeah.
So, like, I knew
That's
it was
so
there.
funny.
I've been in that store, 500 times. I know they have one on display, and he's like, "We do have one." I said, "Okay, do you have the basic or do you only have the set?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Do you have it as the basic tool or do you have it only as the set, which comes with the batteries and the charger?" "Oh, yeah, we just have the one with the batteries and charger." "Okay, I'll just order it online. Thanks. Bye." I hung up.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'd love to say that's the only time that's happened at that store, but it
Yeah.
definitely is not.
You made me think of one that's on the same note of that. And I'm curious, is the grinder, is it also a cutoff wheel option on that Festool one? Because I use that
Mhm.
all the time and it fits with your reciprocating saw idea. My dad used to, I still have his. He had two of them. They're Metabos, and I'm still using them. They're corded, and my dad always called it a super cutter. And for the time I can remember when I was little, if there was a threaded bolt sticking out, if there was a chain link fence that needed to be cut down or anything, he would get out the super cutter, and put the blade on there and just cut
Oh,
cut the metal out. And that is what we use a lot of times that some people would use a reciprocating saw for, but it's a lot faster to use that cutoff wheel. Um, the one it throws sparks out. People's probably seen it before. You always want to make
Yeah.
sure they throw it away from you. I did recently get the Milwaukee cordless one, and it's impressive. It has a brake, which is pretty cool. Instead of it just because you used to have to wait to set the Metabo down, or it would do some damage. This one, the blade almost stops instantaneously, which is cool. But that's a must-have on our van because we never know when we're going to need it.
mm. The only time I really use my grinder is I use it every month during the summer to sharpen my lawnmower blades. And
Yeah,
I
that's
I sharpen once a month. I just sharpened last weekend.
I should probably do that.
yeah. Your grass blades tell you when it needs to be done.
You're damn right.
I mean, I should do that, but why spend the money when I can just give it to Sedge?
I'll do them.
You start seeing a split in the middle and little tan on the end of the blades.
I do two or three people in the area. I mean sharpen their blades.
Yeah. Yeah, we know what you meant. You
It's a
dog.
Kaiser blade.
I like doing it. It's easy and people
We
are
all like doing it,
appreciative.
Sedge.
Oh yeah, baby, you behave.
A lot of people like to have two blades so that when they change, they can go ahead and just start mowing and they can work on it
Yep.
when they're not. It doesn't stop their production.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
you guys want to hit Ronnie's
Yeah, let's
topic
do
of
that one.
discussion?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I thought of it because I thought, Sedge has got a little bit more time in the whole woodworking world than we do, which is kind of nice. It always comes in handy. But I was going through some of Kelly's grandfather's old fine woodworking magazines and woodsmith
Yep.
magazines, and even some catalogs, which used to be the only way you could really buy a lot of woodworking equipment. There were like general dedicated catalogs and things that he would save, and I was going through all of them. Most all the information there is still pertinent today, but I kept noticing every ad when I turned were companies. Some of them I never heard of, and some of them I was like, "Oh yeah, I do remember that brand." And maybe some are just not as mainstream, like Wood Tech. Wood was it Wood Tech? I have that shaper
Yeah,
that's a Wood
Wood
Tech.
Tech. That
Remember
was
they used to have a
that.
whole catalog.
Oh yeah. That was sold by Woodworkers Supply. I think Wood Tech was.
Yeah, you're right. That was what the catalog was. Woodworker Supply, and then
Yep,
like I have
out
a
of
Delta.
New Mexico.
And
Okay.
Delta, used to be a lot larger in the woodworking world.
Oh yeah.
But my question mainly is like, what happened to some of these companies? And it also made me think about what companies do we know now as mainstream that may not even be around? You don't think
O-
about that. We think of them as being forever. Maybe they won't be.
Okay, here's one for you. And Jason, you'll appreciate this. There was a guy who started a company, and I used to get their catalog. They were big in the Northeast, but they expanded all across America. It was called Trend Lines. You remember that?
Do they make mask? The air
Nope.
mask?
Trend Lines,
That's
that's a
Trend
different
Shield.
brand. That's Trend. Trend
Uh-huh.
Lines was a store, but they had a few of their own, like a Wood Tech, but it was a different brand of tool and machinery. But it was a real big discount house. And when I say discount house, there was a lot, and they were one of the first. They were quite, I won't say similar, but close to Harbor Freight. Okay,
Okay.
you could, but they also threw in some Makita sanders. They were one of the biggest Makita dealers, and they would have other power tools, but just cheap brands from Taiwan back then. And here's the other thing: every time you saw a Trendline store, right next to it was Golf Days,
Oh,
was a
so
golf store, which was really
Smart.
funny as heck. And then
Yeah.
somebody told me the owner also likes to golf, so he puts golf stores next to his
Smart.
trend lines,
smart.
which makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It
But
does.
every but that was cool. And then they switched the name after it was sold to Woodworkers Warehouse. It was still a bunch of stuff slammed into the stores, but they're no longer existent. But there were a few brands in there. Like there was a
Hmm.
hand tool brand that was based out of Massachusetts, I think. And they made some cool tools, but it wasn't the greatest. It was called AMT, American Machining
Hmm.
Technology.
I've seen
I,
those before.
yeah, AMT was a brand, and that's now defunct. Ronnie, this is a great question because there's a lot of brands out there.
Well, like even back to New Yankee Workshop, I believe wasn't his miter saw was a Delta, I believe.
Porter
It was like,
Cable, and
yeah, Porter Cable or
it was
Delta.
had a laser.
Yes, yeah, but that you can't. They don't make those anymore.
Well,
They got
Norm
out of that.
said no, and they discontinued that model right away because you couldn't keep. Like Norm said, the only one that the laser was accurate was mine. Joking because they were in there tweaking it all the time.
Yeah, things like
But
that.
boy, people wanted a laser for years because of that Porter Cable. I'm trying to remember the model number.
It's funny. I was gonna say Porter Cable, and last minute I think, what was it? A Delta. It was like those were
Well,
the two brands that I
oh yeah,
remember seeing mostly. That's why I bought Porter Cable routers
yeah.
because of him.
Well, well, Porter Cable, Ronnie, was such a staple in
Mm.
all woodworking shops.
Yeah,
Those
they were good.
690 routers, those 7539s, 3.5 horsepower. But that is when they were made in America, in
Right.
Jackson, Tennessee. That is when and Delta was made in Tupelo, Mississippi.
That's
Okay. I
when.
toured the Delta. I went to school for the Delta school for a week down in
Mm.
Tupelo, Mississippi.
Wow.
And boy, you want to talk about there are people, hey, how long you worked there? 28 years. I started the bandsaw line.
Hmm.
It's just really cool. And then it just the way it all morphed, where I'm trying to remember the name. One company bought both of them, and then they sold it off to DeWalt. And then
Powermatic
Stanley
is
came in,
Tennessee.
and then Stanley came in and bought DeWalt, and Stanley merged, but it was Stanley who took over DeWalt and Stanley Black and Decker, and
What about
just the
Craftsman?
I
Who bought
Craftsman.
Craftsman?
I
Somebody bought.
yeah, somebody bought Craftsman. It. I think that might be TTI tool. Oh, it's not TTS. That's Festool TTS. I think it's something Tool Technic or Tool Technica. And they own. Oh my God, so many brands now.
I've seen that
Um,
flow chart before.
yeah, it's weird the way I. There's a guy who does a video on YouTube. He'll tell you he's got the majority of it right. Who owns what?
Mm.
But
So,
it's
so,
crazy.
so some of the brands were from buyouts where they went. It sounds like some of
And
them just became other brands.
and then you see that brand go straight downhill. There's nothing made by PC. PC became the Black and Decker Firestorm brand. I hate saying that,
Hmm.
but it just broke my heart when I would go in and look at Portacable and Lowe's back then, and my stomach would turn. You guys know Rick, right?
Hmm.
Jason Rick Bush.
Hmm.
He used to work for them,
Rick,
didn't
he worked for PC. He worked for
Oh,
Portacable.
really?
Yeah. He was
Didn't know that.
he I think he did all the Lowe's stores down in his neck of the woods.
Didn't know that.
And he'll tell you a lot of stories about that and the transition. It
Hmm.
was crazy.
Yeah, it was just really odd to me because there was a few of the magazines I looked through and I was like, you would think I was looking at something from the 60s from all the ads, and it was in the 90s. It
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago. Some of these were in the 90s. And if you look through them, you would not recognize most of the tools that were advertised in there. And at first I was thinking, wow, how things have changed. I started thinking, well, what makes me think that it's not going to be like this repeated? What companies are no longer going to be around or get bought out or, just you just don't know.
Just like Bosch. Bosch owns a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Um, and let's stay in the power tool area. They own Freud. They own Vermont American. They own Dremel. They own Rotosip, and the
Hmm.
list goes on and on. But when I started getting into the business, the wood industry business, I my eyes were open because I went to a trade show with a guy Sandy who was working for Bosch, and he goes, "What do you think Bosch is?" And I go, "Well, I know they do appliances, and their biggest division is probably power tools." He started laughing at me, and Sandy has worked for Bosch now for 50 something years.
Wow.
Okay. And he's just the coolest, most laid back dude. And he was laughing at me. He goes, "You see that cabinet company over there?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "We own them." "See that big other cabinet company over there?" He goes, "Yeah, we own them." And then I go, "Well, how is it broken up?" He goes, and back then, he said 70% of Bosch is auto parts. I go, "What do you mean? Wiper blades?" Because that's all
That's
I
what I
knew.
thought of when you said that.
No. Uh, they sell parts and they manufacture parts direct, and they go right to Mercedes, and they go right to
Hmm.
Porsche, and they go right to VW, and they go right to BMW.
Yeah, if
They're
you
a
look under the
huge
hood,
company. The power tool division, which I just named a lot of companies, is such a small part of the business overall.
makes
It's
sense.
crazy. So that may have changed in 30 something years, but I doubt it, because when I've been going around to some retail establishments in the last 2 or 3 weeks and seen it all through the Midwest, boy, have they lost a lot. It's hard to find Bosch in stores.
Yeah, we've had a few Bosch dishwashers.
Yeah. And they're fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, they're good ones. They're up in the upper
Yeah.
range.
So can I ask you, have you seen Bosch Power Tools anywhere?
Are they still? They're
Doesn't
still in
Lowe's
Lowe's,
carry
aren't they?
Bosch?
Are they? Did they get rid of them in Lowe's?
When I saw the Bosch jigsaws in a store I was recently, I was so disappointed. I was like, Bosch was a standard for
Yeah,
years and years and years in jigsaws, and these look like toys.
yeah. I think
And this
you're
was a big
right.
distributor of Bosch,
They don't seem to
or a
be
big
built.
dealer of Bosch, and I was like so disappointed.
They're not what they used to be.
Or
You
you could
know,
argue that among a lot of brands, though.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Like
think they try
I'll
to
agree with you.
them.
You go to like a Lowe's and a Home Depot, and you look at all the tools that are there, and a lot of them do. They look like toys. You know,
Hmm.
like somebody just 3D printed a body and put a motor in
Yeah,
and
they do.
there's a lot to that. Um, and what goes into that, because they slam things together, they throw them on the shelves, and their testing is the contractor, and they use their complaints to refine it or just look at the numbers and say, it's not worth it. Let's get rid of it. Let's move on to another tool.
Hmm.
Where I could say at Festool that doesn't happen because we refine things, we test things amongst contractors, then we bring it back. We haven't released it yet, and then we bring it back out there,
Hmm.
and we want to make sure it's the right fit and finish. And does it take time to get things to market? So much more than any other manufacturer.
it. So I
But
would
we
argue, not with you, but I would argue that while a lot of people think that, because I hear this all the time, I'll never switch a festival because they don't have anything or they don't have everything. It's like, okay, but is that necessarily a bad thing? You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Because what I feel like a lot of these tool manufacturers have gotten into, and where it really started to slip, because that's what we're talking about, is they're like, we need to make everything. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of people, a lot of brain power, a lot of R&D. And so what I think ends up happening is that, yeah, they come out with a tool that does every single thing possible. Does that mean it's the best that that tool could be? Heck no. But they got everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Coffee makers, cordless coffee makers.
yeah,
Everybody needs that.
so I understand the allure of it, but I think personally that that has been something that's been is kind of a detriment to the power tool industry. Is
Mm-hmm.
like finding out a way to make every single tool that you need. It's like, okay, guys, pump the brakes. Like what are the things that are your best sellers, right? What are the things that have the highest demand? Why don't we just make the best versions of those items? You know what I mean?
I totally
Yeah, you
know
totally
what
know
you
what I mean.
mean.
And this is by no means like, um, I mean, you have Festool, you have Mafel, right? Two of these brands that always get compared against each other. Both of those brands don't have these massive cordless power tool lines. Both of these European companies don't have every single tool that you could do, even in Europe, right? But here in America, it's all like, yep, we're going to make a tool that does everything. You can get all your lawn equipment, your woodworking stuff, your DIY stuff, your plumbing stuff, everything. Buy it from this company. You know, something has to give. Something has to give in that process, whether it's time and
Mm-hmm.
development, right? Because we're like, we need to get this to market because, DeWalt's coming out with one, or Ryobi's coming out with one, or FlexVolt's coming out with one, or whatever the case is. And I think that a lot of things are rushed to market. And I'm not speaking on behalf of experience on how good all of these tools work because let's be real, I don't need every one of those. But I guess the plus side from a company's perspective is we can target every field:
Mm-hmm.
electricians,
How many
plumbers,
how many
woodworkers.
18 volt? Because I just went through a presentation today. How many 18 volt? Because I questioned this number in the meeting. How many 18-volt tools does DeWalt have?
Oh
Or what
gosh.
do they say they have?
Do you know the answer?
Oh, hell yeah.
I
And
would
I was
guess at
like, well,
least 70. Is it
It's way
more?
more than that.
Is it?
350.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I would only be I would only
Makita
know.
250, Milwaukee 250 plus. But you got to remember, they may say, okay, this version comes with two batteries. This version comes with one battery. This version comes, so they count those.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Okay, but when I saw that number, I went 350 plus. What?
The thing that
But
surprises me about that is you only see what is in a big box store, like what
yep,
Lowe's carries, and I don't
correct,
see their
Ronnie.
stuff anywhere else. So it's hard for me to imagine that. I feel like Milwaukee, I see bigger selection when I go to a store, even and online. So I would guess they had more than DeWalt.
when you go to a
And
place like Hartville, right, where they carry just so much of everything, I think you get a better idea, right?
Perspective.
Because they have,
that's
yeah, you
true.
get a better perspective.
It's a
Yeah.
better perspective. Hey, I didn't know Steel carried all of that. I didn't know John Deere had. I didn't know Carhartt. So there's a dealer similar up in Canada. They're called Atlas Tool and Machinery.
Yeah, that's Toolaholic's place, stomping ground.
Okay. I've never seen a better Stabila display. They have everything. Vera, Weha. They have aisles of Wera, aisles of Weha. Okay.
Yeah.
Occidental leather, everything. Their number one thing is we want everything in a tool line, whether it's DeWalt, Makita,
Mm-hmm.
Festool. They have everything Festool. They're the ones with the big hanging sustainer that's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to go there one of
But
these days.
Yeah, that looks like a
their
Costco sized.
their policy or their belief is we want everything. But we don't want people saying, "Oh, I'll go somewhere else for that." No, every accessory. It
Mm-hmm.
is really really impressive when you, for me, seeing a Stabila display with everything. When
Mm.
Stabila does a meeting, national sales meeting, or Stabila comes over to America, the North America, they have their meeting at Atlas. I've heard that. Everything Honda, it's
Yeah.
just everything steel. It is so impressive.
Why is Atlas able to be there and we don't have a lot of places like this in our country? Is it because of the population where Atlas is?
Toronto. Toronto,
Is that
they
what is that
they
what
own
it is?
Toronto. They own Toronto Tool. They own Toronto for tools. Yeah,
'Cause
it's population. Okay, so Hartville, Ohio, middle of nowhere,
right.
but they have something different. They have a huge, huge online.
True, true,
Okay, but
true.
that is such a. They have everything of everything too. If you think about it,
Oh yeah.
I mean, some of their displays, but they now have a blue spruce display. They have a
Mhm.
woodpeckers display. And their motto is we don't want you going anywhere else. And by the way, people are so loyal to Hartville, it's ridiculous. And they're building another store not too far away, about an hour away. And it's not going to be as big, but it's going to be humongous.
Hour away, which way?
Northeast from there.
But that doesn't help me out. As soon as you said north, I lost interest.
I know. It's going to be in Lexington. It's going to be in Georgetown, actually.
There you
Georgetown.
go. There you go. Let's say
Kentucky.
south.
Yeah. But you know what? It's just, though, okay, so when you take somebody there and then you take them to other dealers, he's going, oh, you started with the best Sedge. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's pretty damn impressive. But they get it. They don't want customers going anywhere else, right? Jason, you had that experience, and you're not going to go buy a tool there again, are you? That like
At
the AGC experience?
No, like I've gotten to the point I just don't go there anymore. Like I just order it from US Tool.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
it's
I don't
also
visit
because they're great
Rockler or
people too.
Woodcraft.
Yeah.
It's customer service, right?
It is
Yeah,
customer
it's not
service.
worth going.
Woodcrafts are not consistent. Some of them are so
I
good and some of them are not. And we are
I
lucky
hate
enough to have a
hearing
good
that,
one. We have a
and I
really good
hate
one in Lexington.
and I
It's
hate hearing that, Ronnie.
Yeah, we at one time did not. Ours was terrible. And then a new no owner came along. He tripled the size of the festival display, which
You
said
nailed it.
you I think you know who he is. He lives in Miami. And
Yep.
all of the employees are so knowledgeable. They don't
Yep.
have like one expert. They have more than one expert of what all they have. And they stock one of everything at least. And it's nice. That's what makes me go to a store and buy. If not, I'll just order it. Like Jason said,
Thank
I'm
you.
not going to waste my
Same.
time, and
Same.
they do a great job. They actually now have things I did not know existed. I was in there the other day. This is how they get me too. They're like, "Hey, have you seen the new sustainers with the drywall anchors in them?" I'm like, "What? No, I haven't seen those." And when he opened them up, I have seen it because they're red and silver. I did see it like as scrolling through.
They're Fisher.
But yeah, he was just like, "These are really nice anchors." He's like, "It's just in a little small, I think it was a small socket set or something in a
Yeah.
little, yeah, mini sustainer." But they show me these things. That's what makes people buy things.
Okay.
That, hey, did you know that they make this? You know,
So I'm going to tell you, when I first saw that, I went, plastic anchors. No way, dude. They actually work. They don't twist in the hole you drill. They actually grab.
yeah, he said they were really nice.
Yeah. And they're Fisher. And you can, hey, guess who sells Fisher anchors? You can refill them right at Home Depot. They sell Fisher now at Home
Oh,
Depot.
okay,
Did
okay.
you know that? I didn't. I
No,
didn't. Rick told me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Because we're
that's
not going to sell refills for it, but it's cool.
but I think that should be a store's responsibility. A tool they know you well enough to know what you have and to recommend to you things that are available that you would have never known existed. And they do that now at our Woodcraft, which is really nice because it makes me spend more money than I planned on when I go there to buy a saw blade.
To me, the customer service part is definitely important. I'm very big on the whole customer service thing. That having good customer service is what's going to make me go out of my way to make sure that I try to go to that store before ordering online. But the reality of it is the problem with these stores, they're so small, they can't stock the inventory. They don't have a
Mhm.
place to hold it. So because of that, they have very limited things. It's all the things we already own. And then on top, now stack on top of that somebody who doesn't know anything about that brand, and looks at you like you're an idiot when you go in there and don't know what you're looking for. Um, that just makes it more frustrating. But, that's why I think that a lot of these stores are just going to die because you go to a woodcraft or a rockler and it's like, well, we don't have it, but we could get it shipped here and it'll be here in 7 to 10 business days. So I'm like, dude, I can go on Amazon right in front of your face. It'll be on my
You,
door tomorrow.
you have to make that retail situation a place where people of knowledge are sought. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You walk into a retail store, and I'm going there for that person's knowledge
Yeah.
on a power tool, on a hand tool,
Right.
or the knowledge of, hey, how would you do this? Can you tell me the right way? You seek that person of knowledge
Hmm.
and a nice person, because I know some people who have a lot of knowledge and they're real,
Hmm.
DBs.
Like I was going to buy the Delta Head sander at one time, and it was recommended that I go with the RO90 that has the Delta Head with it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that, and it was like much better recommendation than just going with the other model, and I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't been recommended by someone who knew the whole line.
That you probably owns one too, right? And
What?
that person probably
Oh
owned it.
yeah, oh yeah, he owns
And,
two of everything.
and they know exactly, but that's what you need. So, Ronnie, it was really funny. You talked about the Lexington Woodcraft. Yes, I know the owner. I've known
Yeah,
him for 20 plus years. I remember when he bought his first one. And you know what's really sucks is ever since you said that, I'm going, oh, I know his name. So I know his name. I know his. And so I've been
yeah,
going back and I've been writing things down here. And I wrote his last name and then I got his first name. So I want to call him up because this guy gets it. His whole family gets it. His name is Anand Narwani.
yeah.
And
That's
just the nicest people. He hires the best for his stores, and he's totally customer service.
yeah.
And
He has at least three, at
I think
least.
he owns three now.
Yeah, I think it's the
Yeah.
Southern Florida and maybe
Yep. Nope.
another one in Florida.
Sold off South Florida.
I
That's
think I'm.
gone.
I think
He
he may have
closed
bought
that, but
Cincinnati
Sarasota, Cincinnati,
in Lexington.
and Lexington.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's
yeah,
and I know just about, I hate saying this, but I do. I know just about everybody in the Woodcraft organization. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful organization. I know so many owners, and I'm not bragging, but I could call out all these people like the Franklin, Tennessee, which is Nashville. They also own Chattanooga, the nicest people in the world. But they get it, and that exudes from leadership, ownership to their employees.
yes. Woodcraft is also they're it's all luck for them at what people in the area are like Festool fans that want to work there. You can't bring somebody in that's never used Festool before. You can tell them, you can let them look through the whole catalog, but they're not going to be able to give the kind of level that we're talking about expertise we want them to have when they go into a store. You can tell someone who uses Festool and someone who does not, you know.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think Lexington's lucky enough to have a lot of retirees and people that used to do the work that love Festool and they work there because they love tools, and you can tell that. And you can't
Hey,
train that.
and in Lexington, I think you have a gentleman there. His name is Dick
Dick, yes,
Miner.
yes, yes. I think of him when I'm talking right now about, but they
But
have more than one of him now, but he's the
oh,
original. Yeah.
keep going, keep going, okay? Because I get something back here he gave me on, and you'll love this.
Hmm. Jason, I was talking to him once, and I've realized he was like the Festool expert. And one time started realizing that I didn't think he really needed to work there. He just worked there because he loved the tools and loved woodcraft. But he started telling me, he started saying, "Well, I've got one in my basement shop, but then I also have a fully stocked Festool shop in my garage." He goes, "I don't want to move tools from my
Oh,
basement shop to my
nice.
garage shop." I'm like, "Well, of course, you got to have two sets of everything." Says, "Think." Did he make
Okay.
that?
Oh no, he gave it to me.
Did he?
Do you know he worked for IBM?
I did know that. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And what is this? This was a notepad that all of them used early, early, early on. What's it called? A
ThinkPad.
think pad.
ThinkPad.
Is
That's
that cool?
funny.
And look,
That's funny.
they gave and this, all the IBM guys carried this around. It was the original. They joke around, but they had this
I didn't know that.
leather, and it said think, a ThinkPad. Isn't that cool?
That is
And
so funny.
he goes, Sedge, I think I'll give this to you. He's such a great guy.
He is. You know, Sedge, he lives in Georgetown.
Does he really?
hmm hmm I've
That's
never
so
seen him
cool.
in the town that I live, but when I go to Lexington, I always see him there. But he told me once he lived in Georgetown. I was like, I do too. Yeah, he's
So,
retired from IBM.
yeah, a really
Yeah.
cool guy.
Yes, he is. He is.
He likes being the festool captain.
My wife for a while would go in there and ask him what to get me for a present. He knew exactly what I had and what I didn't, and he would be like, "Get this little short rail. It's something. Oh, there's a good one. The short Festool rail. That's a good one. That's
Yep,
one that I don't use a lot, but it's so handy. How long is it? Don't say millimeters. It's like it's like a 2 foot long one, something like that.
800 millimeter,
Yeah, whatever.
32 inch.
He told her to get that for me once, and he's like he would never get it himself, but he'll use it all the time. And this was before the HKC saws came out. And so I was using it for a lot of cross cut. I was using my, my same rail I used to cross cut a piece of plywood on cutting 2x10s. And this is before HKC. And that was a great suggestion. I would have never known. And I'd always see him later on. He's like, yeah, your pretty wife came in here. He goes, I always like when she comes in and sees me. He goes, I always take my time when I'm talking to her. And it's just great. Somebody in a store like that, that's when you're not buying on the internet. Somebody that even knows what you have. And it's kind of funny thinking about this. This is what Amazon does for you now. Amazon knows what you've bought, and
Mhm.
Amazon suggests to you in that
Oh yeah.
way that a store should, but most of the time they don't. You bought this, you should try this. Other people bought this, you may like this. And that's what we're losing from storefronts now, and Amazon gives that to
Uh-huh.
us, you know?
Mm.
Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this is a big topic that we discuss in our marketing meetings. A lot of us, somebody gave a great suggestion that because I do it all the time. I write along with our sales managers, and I get to go into stores, do demo days. I do it for demo days, but I get to go into the stores, and they go, "What's it like?" So now what we're doing is everybody who wants to in the marketing department goes for ride-alongs, but the caveat is they got to come back and report what they saw. And what's really cool for me is I look at things differently from other people, and it's a different, as I say, a different perspective or a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
And my eyes were opened last week and this week with the presentations. I was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. But this it's coming from the eyes of a graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
What she saw, it's really cool. These
Mm-hmm.
have probably been the best two marketing meetings I've been involved with for a few years.
That's
It
neat.
was it's just nice to see somebody's looking at something with different eyes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we really work hard and we want to make sure that what we create for a point of sale or an ad that people it's catching people's attention, but
Mm-hmm.
also how it's displayed. So it's a little insight of what I do during the day, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we got about
Oh my
15
God.
minutes.
I just I just looked at the clock. Holy moly.
You guys want to chat at all about anything you've been up to? Actually, before we do that, let me do some admin stuff. One, we don't have any new patrons, but we do want to thank Leather by Dragonfly and Forge 3D for being our
Yes.
gold level sponsors currently for the uh, SplinterCon event in
Con, con,
September.
con, con.
Con, con.
Um, but if you, by the time you people are listening to this, you should have been contacted by Forge 3D for the giveaway last month. Um, and then hopefully this week I'll get the pens out in the mail as long as I get the address for the winner last week.
Who won what?
A guy by the name of Bob won some
Bob.
the Festool pen set.
Oh, nice.
And then Corey Reyes and John Armenia won the Forge 3D vac pad stuff, but I'm trying to get in contact with John to see if he wants them or if he wants us to just raffle them off again. So,
Is that admin? I got a question for you guys because I'm
Mhm.
considering a decent purchase. Are you guys have any upcoming purchases in your shops?
I actually yes, one thing. Um Bloom just recently came out with a new version of
Ooh,
the boring.
mini press.
Yeah, but it's like the clamp on one
Oh,
that you can, you drill out all three holes at the same time.
oh,
But the
it's a
newer
it's a
one,
portable one.
yeah, the newer one has like dust collection built into it.
Ooh.
Sweet.
Um, and I've been trying to order one of those, but every time I look online, I keep end up finding the old one, but not the new one. I have found the new one in a couple of places, but I'm thinking about buying that just because I think it'd be interesting to do a video about it. But outside of that, no, I don't really have any plans.
What
I'm
about you, Ronnie?
I'm considering getting a larger bandsaw. I'm getting ready to have to do some resawing of boards. 12 and a they'll be need to be at least 12 and a half inches wide. I want to book match the mahogany on the top and kind of fitting in with what we're talking about. I've thought about just having my lumber yard that has a full out cabinet shop do that for me, seeing how I haven't needed it up to this point. And I'm trying to weigh, should I, or if I got it, would I do more of that kind of thing? And I don't do it right now because I don't have that kind. So I'm thinking about that right now. How I want to tackle that.
You ought to look at that new
I
one
would
that
like to have a
Harvey just
bandsaw
released.
with a thin blade and one with just a resaw blade, and you don't have to change them out. I think that would be really nice.
You seen the new Harvey one?
No,
I think it's badass.
It is badass.
is it?
I'd be badass.
Yeah, I got to see it at was it IWF last year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
it's
it?
pretty
What's
sweet.
it?
They're shipping
What's
now.
it called?
It's like the
Intelligent
Intelligent or
or
IntelliStart or IntelliSmart or something like
Did you
that.
say they're
yeah.
shipping it to you?
No. I'm not getting
Oh.
Oh,
one.
I
But they
I
they
just
started
got I
shipping
just
them.
got it yesterday.
No,
I
I was
haven't
gonna say if
unboxed
they're
it.
shipping it to you, I might just drive up there and do it there.
They've started shipping them.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you're welcome to come up here and
What's
use the hammer.
Yeah.
what how long does it take for it to get their tools when they ship? They ship directly from their manufacturer?
They ship directly. They ship from California,
Yeah.
Okay.
so you get them
Okay.
pretty
But
quick.
Okay.
But that new
Yeah, I'm
saw,
just
it's really cool.
It's cool.
yeah.
You
It's very
you
cool.
saw it at the show, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, they can you could dial in the tension, can't you? It's a
yeah, and it
digital
has
readout
like
on the tension.
yes, and it's got AI in it somehow, where it adjusts for things. It's got that big eye rip fence that has been so popular on the table saw. It's got it on that. It's pretty
Hmm.
impressive. It's a sweet bandsaw. I was really
I'll look it
impressed
up
when I saw it.
tonight. I'm glad you
So
said something about it.
I may pull the gun on a tool that I've wanted for 20 plus years.
What's that?
And I was given a boatload of some beautiful 8 foot cherry veneer from Garrett. It's like 20 years old, and I was looking at it and going, and I was doing something this weekend in the shop. I go, God, I could use a vacuum bag.
Mm.
Hmm.
Do you have one, Ronnie?
That is an analysis paralysis place I've been stuck before. I get
I
into
I
it and I
I
just
think
get
I'm
stuck.
I think I'm gonna pull the plug by the fall on it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much I have veneer wood wise
Mm,
that I could really use it.
yeah.
A
I think
nice, and the thing is analysis paralysis. How big a bag? Everybody tells
yes.
you. Everybody go big,
Hmm.
but I don't know.
The
So
the bag is how far I've gotten before, starting learning about the bags, and then I start kind of getting almost overwhelmed and I just stop.
I've used them in two different shops. Everybody in the boat industry, every shop has a vacuum
Oh, for
press,
sure.
and it, I'm just mm,
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm thinking
That's a
about
good
pulling
one
the
for
plug.
our list too,
Yeah,
of things
yeah.
that you don't use all the time, but sure nice to have.
Would you buy a separate pump or would you use the
Nope.
Vaxxis pump?
I'll buy a separate pump.
Yeah, I've heard I did get that far that it seems like that makes sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've thought about it a lot because I've been looking at potentially getting them as well. Um, I would just buy two bags.
Yeah, that
I'd
seems
get
to
a really
be
big one and I'd get a medium sized one,
yeah. Yeah,
which
something along
obviously
those
you're going to
lines.
spend
And
more
then
money.
and then you have to build all your melamine calls and everything,
Yeah.
and you got to store that. And it's okay. I do have the room for it, and I've used them before, and they are just so daggone handy.
Yeah, they are.
Even if it's a 1/4 inch piece that you've ripped off the bandsaw
Mm-hmm.
and you want to put it on a substrate for glue up, I could have used that this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I, I'm really thinking about pulling the hammer on it.
Yeah, that's good. That'd be interesting if you get that. I'd be curious because that's something definitely on my eventual list to get,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah, for sure. Okay, I just wanted to ask.
Oh, good. Keep us updated on that. I'm interested in that too.
Yeah, like like I need another tool, right? But I've wanted one
Yeah.
for so long. I just bought an Ego auger.
Yeah, that's. I've been thinking about that too. We were talking about planning. I was like, that'd be nice.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
never know.
yeah,
You never know. So, have you guys seen the Ego mini bike?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's cute. I saw they had it at Hartville Tool. It
Yeah,
was
they
there.
got it. By
Yeah,
the way, Hartfield's got everything from Ego
yeah,
there.
yeah.
What
They
a
had it there.
display!
Yeah, they had it there.
So,
I'd like to get it for
Jason,
Leo.
I hate to ask this, but I know what you've been up to. You've been in bed.
Yeah, the only thing that I would highlight is I made a ton of progress last week on the basement. Um, I'm taking a step back from that now because I'm trying to put all my focus and attention this week, now that I'm going to be home for the whole week, um, on finishing up what I want to finish for this bench pilot thing. Because I'm doing a video for it and it'll be coming out. If all goes well, it'll come out by the end of next week.
Oh, so cool.
So I've just been using it a ton and like filming different processes, and it's really remarkable. And one of the things, if you've seen any of their marketing material, they have like this cool jig and they're cutting tenon joinery on legs for like a stool. While I'm actually building a couple of those stools for the kids for the living room
Oh, cool.
coffee table for them to sit at, and we can get rid of those stupid plastic chairs that are in there. And I cut everything for them today. Like,
That's awesome.
finished all my material and cut them, and like was doing it in conjunction with it cutting other things. So like while the legs were cutting, I'm gluing up my panels, which will be the tops, clamping them up. Like, I did all of it today, cut all the joinery, seeing if I was running into any issues, any challenges. The thing was just effortless. I did have one leg that it, for some reason on that particular piece, it just caught the end grain. Luckily I cut extra material to, cause I just like, hey, this is my first time really like going hard on, doing a project. So it like hit the end grain wrong and just kind of made it jump and it shut the machine off. But for the most part, it's been absolutely flawless. Like it's really incredible. It's just amazing. Like every time I'm like all day today, all I thought about was like, I'm getting time back. Like I'm expediting the speed in which what I am doing, because that's literally cutting the next step. And while it's doing that, I can prep these pieces already. I can do my roundovers. I can do whatever. So it's like somebody else in the shop working with me.
I was just gonna say it's a helper. It's a helper.
Yes. And then trying to figure out, how I'm going to navigate the conversation of like, oh yeah, great. Why would, because I'll just buy another. There's two things I think people are going to scoff at when I release this video. And one of them is going to be, you're taking all the fun out of using that machine. Okay. That's one. And then two, well, why wouldn't I just buy a CNC machine? It's like, so like coming up with how I'm going to, which I already kind of know what I'm going to do for that, but,
It's portability.
It's portability.
And,
Yeah,
and
size.
You can't put a
size.
CNC on the floor.
Yep.
Yeah, but you know what'll happen, right? People will be like, yeah, but it's so small. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. Go buy a 4x4 CNC machine and see how much space it takes up in your shop. Guess what? If you need a 4x4 CNC machine, the Shaper Origin may not be the best thing for you in the first place.
Right.
But this is taking an already existing amazing piece of machinery being the Shaper Origin, which I honestly believe is the most innovative tool that has been built uh, in my lifetime, probably. Um,
God, I love hearing
Granted,
you
a
say that.
CNC
I
machine
love
is
hearing that.
too, but now you made a gantry system that makes me not only have the ability of the most amazing tool created in my lifetime, but now if I want, I can have a robot move the damn thing and have it help me while I'm doing something. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Only
remarkable.
going
Like
to
I'm
get
so
better.
yeah, and I'm so excited to finish up some of these other projects like the basement because I really want to build a workstation for it where it just lives and I don't have to move anything and I can just leave it set up and I can use it every opportunity I get. It's incredible. It's an amazing tool. So I'm just trying to make sure that I get my excitement and my sincerity across in the video while at the same time answering. And they've already been doing a great job. If you go on their website and look at the frequently asked questions, they were just at Ligna and they've already stockpiled a bunch of questions that they got at Ligna about the machine. So I'm
I might
bouncing
go
off
there
that.
next year.
Really. I would have loved to have gone.
I might
Pretty
go.
cool.
I
But
kind of have a little bit of an invite to go. So,
that's all I got for myself.
and also after we wrap this up, I also have something I want to talk to you two guys about.
Okay.
Okay. And I just want you to, well, I'll talk to you after.
Mine's short.
Okay.
Kelly and I went on a
Oh,
trip. Kelly and I went to
yeah.
Florida for a
Oh,
little
that's right.
getaway. We didn't do a lot. We just kind of went down there and just hung out. Um, just because the kids were both gone on a trip. And it's kind of the first time in our life that both the kids went on a trip without us. So we thought we would go on a trip too. So we did that. And we have a busy week this week and we hope to start putting the pretty stuff on top of the boat, which I can't wait very soon. That's going to be our next video. And
I
I'm
loved
looking
your
forward to that.
video, by the way.
Thank you. I'm glad to get it out
Awesome.
before we left. I didn't think I would, but I did. And I'm really, it makes your brain rest when you get one out. Get caught up. See, we're going to be releasing the other one not too far in the near future. We want to do the next one as being the whole upper part being not finished, not the finishing part, but putting the raw wood on. That'll be the next video. So that's coming up. Other than that, we just got a busy week. I got to pay for the time that I was off, pretty much the time that I lost. I have to make up for it because everybody that called last week, I was like, oh, next week. Yeah, we'll get out there next week. Next week. Next week. And then you look at your next weeks and you're like, oh man, next week's going to suck. So that's this week for me. But it's okay. You work in spurts and then you get to take little breaks off. That's the cool part, working for yourself.
And it's not that I'm on a break, but after the last 2 months of what I've at work and other things, I feel like I'm on vacation finally, but I'm still working full time, both.
Just not intense.
But just, oh my God. And but that intense was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just fired even people at work today were like, wow. Somebody came up to me and said, Sedge, I haven't seen you like this in the last 4 years. And I've worked with this guy for 16 years. Oh, wow. And I went, huh? He goes, you are so freaking fired up. And I went, yeah, because I know it's coming, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
the exo legs.
Guys, I am so stoked. Just because it's not that I'm in the know, but I kind of am. And I can't say anything. I can't even say stuff to people at work. And I think that's pretty daggone cool.
That is
nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it was. So, hey, if we were going to do this, what would you like to see? And I was like, And then they'd say that and they go, oh, okay. And that's all I could say, guys, because it's so freaking cool.
Everybody's going to hate you, Sedge.
You know what? I'm so sorry, but I work for a really cool company.
That you
I
do.
really do. And it's just, we got some awesome stuff planned, and it's cool. So
Very cool.
I'm fired up.
Hey,
Hey, I want to say thank you to both you guys for helping me make a few decisions on what I was planning on doing. And now I'm going to switch gears on a few things. But thanks, man.
Oh yeah.
That was really helpful. And hopefully it made for good podcast content, because everybody out there is probably thinking, yeah, what do I got? And that I can't live without, but it's there when I need it, right?
Mhm.
hmm
And like, hey, the other thing too, Ronnie, is what are some of those companies that are still around? What are some of them? Why are they still around? And what
hmm
happened to those other ones? Were they bought up, or
hmm
they just couldn't make it?
Maybe some just didn't adapt with the times. You
That's
know.
also, you
hmm
know,
Some stuck with the same way of selling, and it didn't work anymore. Something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Or something came out which bettered their product,
True. True.
you
True.
know?
Sedge,
True.
did you have anything significant? What you've been up to? I don't know if
Go,
we ever
going through
mentioned
wood
it.
in my shop and thinking, okay, what am I going to do with this? Why am I keeping it?
Huh.
And thinking, holy crap, I got a lot of veneer. Holy crap, I got a lot of resawn lumber. And I've been thinking about projects.
And holy crap, I got a bunch of stuff I don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is getting this? Somebody asked me a question the other day. And I said, yeah, I got one of those. Well, how much do you want? I go, nothing. 12 pack of Sam Adams. He just looked at me and goes, really? I go, what am I going to do with them? And he just went, I go, you need them, right? And he goes, yeah. And I go, they're
I
yours.
need Sam Adams.
I need Sam Adams, Daddy. I am easy, man. I have everything I want in life. Does that sound really corny?
Except a vacuum bag.
I
Yeah, except
Oh,
the
I'm gonna
vacuum
get
bag.
that. That's a write off. Yeah, Dad. I get everything I want in life, man. It
Cool.
sounds weird, but what do I want? Maybe another vacation, Ireland. We're thinking of Scotland next year, Edinburgh.
Well,
You
after
know,
our trip to Legoland, we've already put a deposit on our trip for next year, and it will not be Legoland. It will be
Jason,
Cancun, Mexico,
I
at
would
an
laugh at my
all-inclusive resort for
I got
mommy and
almost
daddy.
I almost grabbed a
your
Legoland brochure the other day. I saw one while we were there. I almost grabbed it just to be able to give it to you.
your expression last week was freaking priceless.
It's probably where I got
Priceless.
sick.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably more
and
than
I
likely.
didn't want to say that, but it's the air travel.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not you and your what's the word? The way you take care of yourself, your
Mm,
what's it called? Your hygiene.
yeah.
It's all the other creepy people in the airport and the airplanes, their hygiene.
hmm
And it's there, and it's just
hmm
Well, that and I
it-
had to sit with the unwashed because I was traveling with the family.
The unwashed.
the oh my god, never heard that. I never heard that, the unwashed.
Hey, I do have to share on the unwashed. So funny. This was last night. We were sitting in the restaurant waiting in the airport, and this guy was sitting over next to Kelly, and he got up and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad he got up." She goes, "He smelled like BO so bad." And
Yeah.
I didn't put a lot of thought into it. So we're getting on the plane and we're seat 11 A and B. We're at 7. And you know how you count ahead? You start looking. I went 8, 9, 10, 11. Guess who's sitting in our set of 3?
Yes. And
And
you know what?
I said, "Oh no." And she looked at me and she looked up and she goes, "No." I go, "Yep.
Yeah.
That was
And
who we had in our row."
excuse me. And those smelly bastards, that's why I won't even take a red eye from goddamn LA or Vegas anymore, because they get on and they smell like ass.
Do you know what he did? He got up before we took
Disgusting.
off and went to the bathroom, and the whole plane had to wait to take off because he was in there. And finally they came out and they said, as soon as we get one of our, what do they call them, customers or whatever, out of the bathroom, we'll be able to take off. Everybody in the entire plane sitting there going, and as soon as he got up, everybody was like holding their nose, looking at each other. It was really bad. And this guy, you could tell he was perfectly capable. I mean, he was still dressed nicely and everything, but it's just, how could it be like that? And what are the chances? I sit there thinking, one out of what, 400 people on that plane, and we get the guy right next to us. So we were supposed to be home at 7, and we got home at 2 in the morning, by the way. Every type of delay you could ever think of.
Oh no.
Yeah, that part was not fun, but that's what you get with flying. No control.
What, don't they notice they smell like that?
That's what I was wondering the whole time I was flying and smelling it. I fell asleep with my collar, my shirt over my nose like this. I fell asleep like that.
I worked with a dude once. He didn't know. He didn't know his breath was bad. And it was so bad, people would come in and they'd walk up to him and they would back away because every day he smelled like he ate a shit sandwich.
Yeah, that's
and he had no idea.
They say, I just know because of social media, they say that's tonsil stones. People don't know they have them. Some people have these stones that are stuck in the back of their throat and they stink when they're chronic like that, and they have to be taken out. They're little
severe thing of halitosis I've ever seen.
Ugh.
And he was, I'm going to tell you right now, he was such a nice guy, but he was spoken
from a distance.
To. he was spoken to, and we started calling him Mr. Tic Tac because he always had a thing of Tic Tacs going. And you ready? He's passed away. He's such a nice guy. And it was Stuart. If people know him from International Tool down in Fort Lauderdale. And God bless him because he was one of the kindest souls out there. So, yeah, it's just unbelievable. But it was like you'd be talking to him, you just like, he would back away. Yeah. So I have this thing with Marianne, and I'm going to say this. I know we've run past it, but I said to that, since that day, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, if I ever leave this house and you smell me with BO or bad breath, you tell me. I will not have my feelings hurt.
Yeah.
I do not want to go in public smelling.
Right.
And is it one of my pet peeves? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in an airport.
Oh. Boy, Sedge just went on a rant, huh? Sorry.
I'm there. I was there last night. I'm there. Yeah.
All right. Well, boys.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to 188, everybody.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Where Jason will feel better. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.